I'm Layla.
I'm Sarah, and this is Not Your Usual Podcast. Okay, it's rolling.
You want me to do the clap or you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
1, 2, 3.
Hi guys,
I'm Layla.
I'm Sarah,
And
and this is Not Your Usual Podcast. Welcome back to another episode.
Yes, guys, welcome back. If this is your first time seeing us, hello. We're really excited to have you guys here. If you haven't seen any of our other episodes, please go back and watch. We've talked about accountability, friendship,
Self-reliance on God.
yes, and you'll be able to get a better sense of knowing us. So
And what we do and what this podcast is about.
yes, so today we're going to be talking about how to build healthy relationships.
And maintain them, whether
Yes.
that is a friendship or a romantic relationship, just how we are able to have friends and actually like take our friends into our future instead of always just making a new friend and dropping them or
Yeah, because maintaining relationships is hard. I feel like we don't talk about that a lot, but I feel like in our society today, I feel like low maintenance friendships are very, I would
Usual,
say, like,
common. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I don't think that they should be common.
Yeah.
I understand that as humans, like, we're very busy, but at the same time, because we're so busy, I feel like it does make an effort when you see people going the extra mile for you, or where you feel cared for and loved.
especially when you're used to going that extra mile for people and you're used to doing that for other people that are not just your friends, but once you see that being reciprocated, it's like, okay, like not only what I'm putting in is worth my time and effort, but that person also appreciates and cares about me as much as I care about them,
For
instead of
sure.
you just like assuming that that person cares about you because they claim to be your friend. Because honestly, anybody could claim that. I could see a homeless man right now and be like, yo, you're my friend. And like he could be like, yeah, we are, but it's like, what does that really mean?
What does that mean?
We're not in high school anymore, and if you are, you should really take into accountability the friends that you have now too, because that time that you're spending with them will play out in your future as well, like whether you believe it or not. Like we can really get into that.
For real. Okay, so how would you say that in your life you maintain healthy relationships with people? Like, is there anything that you do specifically, or has anything happened to you in the past that has made you act a certain way in your relationships with people today?
So I've like moved around a lot. I think we both know that by now.
Yes.
And I'm accustomed to being the new girl in a lot of areas of my life, whether that was middle school or high school. And the good thing about me is that I'm not necessarily shy. Like at first I would be a little scared to fully express myself, and it's like, are you gonna like me, or are you gonna accept me for who I am? But I've never been like necessarily shy. So just opening up to people, really accepting them for who they are, like has always been something that's easy for me to do. But moving a lot does play a big role in that, because it's like, am I gonna have these friends in a couple of years, or like 4 years, or
True.
even months, like, because right now we're in college, but like where are we gonna be in the next year or two? So a way that I have like maintained my relationships, especially healthy relationships, is just making sure that I'm treating people how I want to be treated, and also like seeing if that person has the same values as me that I would want to be taking into my future. Like, okay, I feel like once you're growing up, it's harder to maintain relationships because you don't really know what your values really are or who you even are as a person. And that's why like it's a little confusing for me to explain this right now, because I'm trying to think about like my like middle school and like high school, because I still have friends from middle school and high school. Like I have friends from Brazil right now that I met them when they were 6 years old, and if I was to call them and be like, hey, I need to talk to you right now, they would be like, when? Like, when do we talk? Because they know a lot about me as a person, and I know a lot about them, and that honestly just takes a level of consistency. Even if we are 4,000 miles away and we don't talk every day, it's like, I know that you are my friend and you are there for me. And then I also have friends here that like I met them not 6 years ago, or like you, or like not 12 years ago, but like we are constant with our friendship, and we are like making sure that no matter what happens in your life, like me and you are aligned enough to be like, hey, I'm here for you, even if you are a doctor and I'm like a mom.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
it's like we are still in the same level of friendship, even if we have like a different like circumstance. Like I actually have a friend that's about to have a baby soon.
Wow.
And like and it's like we don't talk every day, but she knows if she needs me, she can come to me and I know that I can come to her. And yeah, like I feel like a way to really maintain those relationships is realizing what someone's expecting from you and what you're expecting from them, making those things clear and making sure that you are living up to it.
I agree with that. I feel like for me, maintaining relationships is kind of the same. I would say consistency, like what you
Yeah.
said, for me is definitely a number one thing because it's like if I'm not hearing from you or if I don't know what you're up to, automatically, yeah, I'm gonna think that there's a problem. Like respectfully, like I'm gonna take it personally. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be like, are we not close anymore?
Yeah.
Like is something wrong with our friendship? Because that's how I maintain relationships with people. And I also think that the level of respect and boundaries is another way how I maintain relationships in the sense where it's like, okay, say somebody's calling me or texting me and I can't get back to them at the very exact second that they call, but later on in my day, I'm gonna give them a call back. I'm gonna give them a text back. And I feel like sometimes in life, as humans, we find ourselves so busy to the point where, okay, like we have so much going on in our lives, it's like, oh, they know how I feel about them, like I'll just get
Yeah.
back to them when I can. But it's like, no, like what if that person is going through something? I'm not saying that you have to put your whole life on the side from them, but when you do have the time to get back to someone who you care about, you should definitely do that because that makes a world of a difference. You might be the only person, the only real friend in their life who's getting back to them, and that'll set you apart. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's really the communication and consideration aspect. Like, don't expect someone to know how you feel about them
Yes.
just because you guys have been friends for a
Yes.
while, or don't expect them to know you're there just because you've been friends for a while. Like, you need to make sure that person feels that. Like, I've had a lot of people in my life not reciprocate what I was giving, but it's also like they didn't have like the same level of discernment in a friendship. Like it's like your level of friendship is so low that we could never meet. It's like, and that's why sometimes it's honestly worth for considering your friends and like being like, is this someone that can actually meet me in my level of friendship? Like, can you really reciprocate what I have to offer, or do we have to stay on an acquaintance base? Because
Yeah.
me personally, like, I'm not gonna stop my life for anyone, but I'm also going to stop it for a little bit if you need me. And I feel like some friends are not like that. So if you know someone isn't like that, maybe don't put them in that level of like you would do anything for them, because then once they don't do the same for you, now you're upset. But it's like, well, they haven't checked up on you in weeks, they haven't called you in weeks. And like, I'm sorry, like if you're listening to this and you're like, damn, I have this one friend I haven't called in a while, I've just been so busy. But it's like, I'm sorry, but we're all busy. Unless
All
you
of
are
us.
just not doing nothing. But even then, you're busy doing nothing. It's all about your daily choices. Are you choosing to reach out to that person, or are you choosing to neglect them? Even if you have no time, you still have the option to send a text and be like, hey, I'm actually really busy right now, or I'm going through a lot, so I can't talk to you, but I do love you and I do consider you as a friend. Like, I do appreciate you being there for me. I feel like in my life specifically, I have a really big, how do you say it? Like, I have a natural instinct of treating people how I'm treated. Not like, okay, like if you come and treat me like a dog, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, you're a
Yes,
dog.
treat me
No.
however.
Yeah, like no, it's more of like if you come to me and like okay, like we are actually the perfect example, because I'm very like, I don't love texting, but I'm just consistent with the stuff that I do in general. So if Layla texted me every day, good morning, how are you doing today? My brain is like, okay, like this is something we can both do. Now, if you texted me once a week, hey, checking in, how are you doing today or this week? In my brain, it's like, okay, like this is the dynamic of friendship
Of our
that we are.
friendship.
If you come to
Yes,
me
that's
all the
so
time
true.
and you're like, hey, like, once a month, a call. Hey, like, I've just been so busy, but I really appreciate you being there for me. I'm sorry I can't really talk to you or get back to you. In my brain, that is okay. So I'm not going to reach out to you as often as I normally would because you are completely fine with talking to me once a month. Why would I care to make the extra effort? Even though I care about you, I know how you feel about the situation. If you don't care to be talked to, I have other things to do. I have other friends who do care. Sorry.
Yes.
Like, it's honestly just like a very like human instinct for me. It's like if you call me every day, I know I can call you every day. If you call me once a week, I know I can call you once a week. I'm just a very natural trained person to like do with other people what I know they're okay with. So be careful with how you're treating people that you would like to talk to more because sometimes you're showing them a part of you that's not even true because you're not self-accountable enough to give them that friendship level that you expect. So don't be upset when they distance themselves from you because you were distant the whole time, but you didn't realize it. Or maybe you did, but you didn't do anything to change it.
I agree with that because it's like naturally like you're setting the standard for our friendship based on how you're acting. Like it's almost like you're saying more without saying anything at
Yeah.
all, just on based on how you're acting and how you're communicating with me. If you're setting a standard that I'm a once a month friend, I'm gonna think, okay, you're a once a month friend too. I'm automatically, and I know that sounds very harsh, but I'm automatically gonna put you in my mind in that ranking or that caliber. So I completely agree with that. One thing I wanted to touch on based on us talking about this was relying on friendships. So relying on friendships is something for me personally that I had to grow out of. I know that in middle school and in high school, I relied on a lot of people. Like, for my happiness, and like my parents have even had to tell me like when I was growing up, like you can't rely on other people or else you'll always be disappointed. And that
Wow.
was like a hard pill
Facts.
for me to swallow because like I would base my validation on my friends or the friendships that I did have with people. So let's say in middle school or high school there was a party or something and I didn't get invited, but like a lot of people that I thought were my friends got invited and didn't tell me about it. I would be devastated because I'd be like, oh, like I thought we were cool, but meanwhile they're only texting me if like they need something from me or they're only reaching out to me like out of convenience for them.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm putting them at this height, but them, they're putting me all the way down here. So I feel like you have to really look at your life, guys. Look at what the people are saying to you that are around you. How are they treating you? How are they acting
That will
towards
show
you?
more than you think.
Yes, it's like, are you even able to rely on them at all? Like, for a friend, for me personally, I want to be able to call you if I'm going through anything, even if I need a favor. Like, God forbid, my car breaks down, I need to jump. Or like, say I'm having a really bad mental health day, I want to be able to call you. I don't want to be in a place where I'm like, I don't know, like
Yeah.
they don't ever answer me. I don't know, like, and that used to be where I was at, and like to me that was so embarrassing for me because it's like that's not a friend. If I feel like I cannot rely on you to be there for me for the simplest of things, or if I'm really struggling, you do not need to be in my life. And I feel like in my past, I placed a lot of my validation, my reliance on people that weren't true friends to me and actually didn't care about me at all. So that's something that I would really say. You need to look at the people around you. How much are they pouring into you? How much are they making you feel like you should be in relationship with them? Because at the same time where you might think they should, they don't deserve you at all.
Yeah. So how do you think that like you were able to really notice those things though?
Yeah, so I think it was definitely, I think, an after high school thing, or yeah, I think it was an after high school thing for me because I was able to just find my identity. And like how you said, like, I think with maturing and realizing your values and what you find important, that's how you realize what type of people you want to be in your circle. And once I was able to identify myself and who I would want around me, that made the friends that I did naturally attract be aligned with myself, and those people are just naturally good friends. Those people are naturally true friends. Like, yes, sometimes like things may happen in life, but at the end of the day, I can say that the circle that I have around me right now is a group of people that, God forbid I needed anything, they would come to me.
Okay, that's nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like I can really agree with that because growing up, it's like so many people will come in and out of your life.
Yes.
And I've even had my own mom tell me, well, you lost that friend and you lost that friend. Don't you think you're the problem? And I'm sorry, but like, if you have a mom and if you ever had a mom, or if you even like have heard a mom talk, you know how like powerful their words are to you.
Yes.
So
Or even like any person in position of power, like
Exactly.
a sister, like
yeah.
anybody.
And I remember in high school, I had not just, well, I guess I'll say more in high school, because middle school, I was just kind of just flowing through emotions, like trying to learn English and pass my normal classes anyway. But then in high school, it's like, okay, like you're meeting these people, like you're getting to know them, like you moved to a new state, you know, like this is a new country for you. And it's like, it was just really hard for me, like sticking to like someone that actually was good for me, I guess, because they usually weren't. But then for my mom, it's like, oh, like, how come, like, you can't keep a friend, right? But for me, it's like, well, if this person did something that I'm not okay with and I don't agree with, and I'm not even saying it from a level of like, oh, you don't want to hang out with me? Like, no, it's like you are humiliating someone else or like something like that. And it's like, I can't do that. Like, you know,
Yes.
like, I feel like after you start to really get to know yourself, like you said, and you set your values and your priorities, it's easier to walk away from people who don't align with you. Because when I was younger, I would only, honestly, like only want to keep people in my life because I'm like, well, you need people. I don't want to be alone. And like, we have been friends for this amount of time. Like, we have these amount of memories. This happened to us and we got over it. So like, I'm sure we could get over that. But it's like, sometimes you're not meant to get over something. You're meant to learn from that and walk away from that person, because having them in your life is honestly gonna mess up your entire dynamic of life and your entire dreams. And like, I'm not saying that, you know, like that person could affect your entire life, but honestly, they could. Do you get what I'm trying to say right now?
Like aligning yourself with the bad company is just
Yeah,
like, not
like-
good. Like, it's like kind of like, you know, the saying where parents or people in your life will be like, oh, if this person jumped off a bridge, would you do it too?
Yeah.
My thing is, naturally, if you know that a group of people that you're surrounding yourself with, or even a person, is engaging in behavior that you don't agree with, or that you think is wrong, or that you don't like, naturally, because in your head you're like, they're my friends, there will be some sort of like inclining or some sort of thought in your brain to be doing the things that they're doing. And yes, you could be so headstrong in your ways. You can be like, oh, I would never do that, or things like that. But I'm telling you guys from past experiences, if you care about them so much, or like you care for their well-being, there might be just like some sort of thought in your head to kind of act like them, or kind of pick up
Experiencing.
their like behaviors or
Yeah.
mannerisms without you even knowing. And then it's like weeks or months later and you're like, wait a minute, who am I? Like, how did I
Yeah.
become this way? But it's like, look at who you're surrounding yourself with. Is this a friendship that you think is important to maintain? Or is this just a person that's been in your life for a long time and that you feel bad for? Like, feeling sorry for friends, I feel like it's not talked about a lot, because there have been times in my past where I felt bad for somebody, so I've been like, they need me, they need a friend. And I know that sounds so like self-centered.
No, yeah.
but
I've
I'm
been like that
sorry.
before
Like,
too.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because also those people are coming to you and you are actively helping them, but it's like
Yes.
sometimes you are not even helping yourself. Like, I can only tell you so many advice and I can only help you so much until you want to get up and change. You can't blame your anxiety and your depression and everything else your whole life when there's someone actively trying to help you, because otherwise you are dragging that person down with you. And only if you've been in that position,
Sorry.
you know, no, it's fine. Like, you know how hard it is. Like, you have a friend that's going down and you're trying to actively pull them
Help.
up, but they are not doing anything but drag you down. Now it's like, okay, it's either we are going to stop being friends or I'm going to get dragged down with you, or you're coming up with me, but like something is definitely going to happen.
I feel like that definitely needs to be talked about, because like, I feel like you and me naturally are people that like to give advice and like to help other people, but I genuinely feel like there are some people that don't want to be saved. And like, I know that sounds so bad,
Yeah.
but like,
Or they're not ready.
they're just not ready. And that's perfectly fine. But it's like, don't waste your energy and your time,
Yeah.
other things on people that don't want to be helped. I'm not saying you shouldn't help, because I always think that you should offer help or extend some sort of information to others that are in need. But if it's draining you so bad to the point where you're like, this person doesn't care, like this person, I've given my all to them, but they're just not reciprocating it back, and they're in the same place that I've tried to get them out of 5 months ago.
Yeah.
Reevaluate that. You might even have to have a conversation with them and be like, hey, like, listen, I know you said you were depressed and everything, but I've tried to help you, and I feel like you're not changing. And I know might sound harsh, but it's like, if you really feel like this person is a true friend, you can have that conversation.
And
it
if you
won't
care
change
about them
anything.
enough.
Yeah.
But that is honestly kind of sensitive for me, because I've lost a few friendships, and like I'm saying, like I've actually stopped being friends with a lot of people. And to me, maybe at one point we were true friends, but then again, like if we're not aligned now and if we're not friends now, I don't know. Because it's like, and also I feel like a lot of people have a different definition of what real is, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. It's like you are keeping it real, but what is real to you, you know? Like I could really get into that, but I also feel like as long as you keep it as real as you can personally, then that's all that matters. And I just wanted to touch a little bit on the reliance thing too.
Yeah.
Because you have to understand that, like, even if, like, you are so close with someone, like me and Layla, we're super close. Like, if Layla was to move away, like, yeah, we would still be friends. We would still talk on the phone. But, like, what am I going to do now? Like, who am I going to, like, hang out with? Like,
That's
relying
so true.
on one person or even on anyone at all is never going to work out for you, because you can't control what that person does. They have their own life of itself. Like, they're not going to be there for you at all times. So if you're relying on anyone rather than God and yourself, you're already losing. Like, you have to take a few steps back and realize, like yeah, like you can, like, use someone and feed off of them a little bit. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like some days when I'm like really struggling or when I'm having a bad day, I know I can call Layla and she's gonna give me some advice or help me feel better. And that's the type of friendships that I value in my life. Like, I'm not saying I'm gonna call you every day or I'm gonna need you every day, but I know that if you need me, I'd be here. So if I need you, you better be there for me too, you know? Otherwise, I'm not sure if I can call you my actual friend. And I don't know, I think like sometimes I feel like people might even, like, I don't know about people in general, or like hopefully not, but I feel like people might even think that I take friendships too serious, and it's like, oh, like this is not your boyfriend, but like I'm sorry, but if I'm devoting my energy and time to you,
Yes.
then I expect the same loyalty and like same love. And like, yes, it's not a boyfriend thing, but it's still a relationship. Like
It
the
is.
fact that you are interacting with someone on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, that's a relationship. And it's going to be up to you guys if it's healthy or not.
I totally agree with that. And I feel like that reliance part that you just talked about right there goes along with romantic relationships too, because I know I've done this in my past. I've definitely relied too much on somebody that I was talking to or somebody that I was even dating just
Yeah.
to be like I'm not saying that they were like the center of my life, but I'm saying they were a very big part. Like, for example, if they were telling me good things, or if we were having a quote unquote good day in the relationship, I would be on cloud 10. Like, I would be so geeked,
Yeah.
so happy, this, that, and the
Everyone
third.
would know.
Everybody would know. And then, like, if one thing happens, like, oh, we get into a disagreement.
Oh my
I'm
God,
like a
that's
wreck,
so
I'm
real.
down, I'm this and that. And I feel like that's me putting my emotions and relying on somebody to dictate how I feel.
Wow.
And I feel like we need to talk about that, because that is such a real thing that I feel like when you love someone and when you care about somebody, especially romantically, and especially if you've shared memories or if you guys have been intimate and vulnerable with each other, it's like you are going to have a sense of reliance on this person. But I think
Yeah.
we need to understand that you are an individual, and before you met this individual, you were fine. Before you met this individual, you had full control of your thoughts and you were your own person.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. So I'm like, we can't forget that when we get into a committed relationship. We can't forget that when we come into a committed friendship either.
Yeah.
Remember that you are your own person.
And honestly, if you don't know that, then really take a step back and learn. Because that is a major reason why I've lost a lot of friends
Yes.
because you didn't know who you were.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the moments that you couldn't rely on me, I was a bad friend.
Yes.
And it's like, and I'm very like aware when I say that too, because I don't want you to think that I'm saying like what it goes for me. Like, oh, like, so you're saying that you want to be able to rely on someone, but like when you try to like, do you get what I'm trying to say? It's
I
like,
do.
just because if I call you and you don't answer, that's not what I'm saying. But it's like, if you call me and I don't answer, like, how is that going to make you feel? Like, are you going to feel like I'm a bad friend, or are you going to understand that, like, this is just not
The right time.
the
for
right
us to
time?
talk.
Exactly. Wait, what were you just saying?
About the reliance on relationships.
Oh, like actual relationships.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was saying that, like, if you don't know who you are as a person and you feel like you need to feed off of everyone at all times, then you need to like build a stronger relationship with yourself before you even build a relationship with other people, because now it's like you're putting those relationships in jeopardy because you can't even like be alone. You know, I think that's really important. And the thing about being geeked when like you're texting someone, like, to me, it's just because you create that little bubble in a person. Like, I feel like us in a relationship, we all have our bubbles. Like, and even in likes or loves or passions, like, it's like, for me, like, I love modeling, so that's like my little bubble of confidence. You love music, so like that's a bubble for you. But it's like you have to understand how much energy you can put into that bubble. If you're putting your entire energy into someone else's bubble, that person can literally run away from the bubble and you're running away with it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes,
It's like if you're putting
exactly.
all your energy into this person, they have the right to say like, well, if I want Layla to feel bad today, I'm just not gonna text her good morning. It's like, what? Like, if you are allowing someone to do that, you are not in your own bubble. Like, you need to be in your own bubble so strong that someone else's presence or non-presence will not affect you at all.
For sure. I completely agree with that. You need to be secure, guys, like in anything. Before you start, literally, even outside of relationships, before you start maybe a business, before you start, like, anything, any type of thing that you can think of, security within yourself that you're a good person, you're a great individual, and that no matter what comes into your life, no matter what happens, that you'll be okay. And I think that comes with having a faith too. That's how that's helped me
Yeah.
a lot. And knowing myself, on having a reliance that no matter what, I will be okay. No matter if a friend is to walk out of my life, no matter if a relationship, a romantic one, is to end, I know that there's greater
Yeah.
and there's good coming. And that's what has helped me.
Yeah. And sometimes, honestly, like, you might not be a good person. I mean, you have to, like, check your actions. Like, are you doing what
Yes.
you should be doing? Like, you might be a good person in heart, but the things you are thought isn't so good, and you are not even so aware of that because your whole family does it, so you think it's okay to do it. But in reality, like, your family's doing the bad thing, too. You know? Like, and I think that comes with accepting yourself for who you are and accepting your flaws, but also, like, when I say accepting your flaws, that doesn't mean you have to keep acting on them. Like, you should understand why you act that way and try to change it for the best of you and others, but also accept others for who they are. And if you have a friend in your life who can't show up for you the same way you show up for them, maybe it's time to cut them off. Bye. Or maybe it's time to place them in a lower level. Like, you can still be in my life, I'll still be in your life, but we're not gonna be seeing eye to eye because we are not in the same level of reciprocity.
Yes, for sure. And I think that goes along with accepting people for who they are as individuals. Like, it's okay if a friend, like, there have been friendships that I've had in the past that it's like, I'm okay with being friends with these people, but I know that I can't place them in the same category that I place you or some of my other friends that I'm close with, because I know they just aren't going to be able to give me that type of friendship that I need. And I'm not saying that they're bad people. I'm not saying that they're bad friends, but I just know where they're at in their journey or where they're at in this place of life. They're not going to be able to give me as much of their time,
Yeah.
or as much as like a consistency
Yeah.
that I need right now in a friendship as some of my other friends. I still love them. I'll still check up on them, but I'm just saying, like, I know where to put them so that I'm not disappointed or I'm not letting that make me feel a type
Yeah.
of way. if
You
that makes
honestly
sense.
really have to have that level of awareness and
Yes.
discernment because I'm sensitive. Like, personally, like, I used to lie about that. and then cry behind the scenes. But I am sensitive, and I'll let everybody know now, like, be careful how you like mistreat me because I will remember, and be careful with what you say. But like beforehand, I would be like, oh, like this person didn't do this, but it's okay. And it's like, no, it's not okay. Like, you have to be honest with yourself. And if it's someone who you actually care about and you know you can communicate with that person, let them know too, because that was my issue. I would expect people to know how I'm feeling and just guess, but like, no one has a crystal ball. Like, if me and Layla have an issue right now, which honestly we don't because we make sure to communicate things priorly, like, if you're gonna be late, let me know so I'm not just like rushing thinking that we're gonna get there at the specific time and then I get there and I'm waiting for you. Like, it's like the little things, because at the end of the day, like, if someone is really in your life, the stuff they do will impact you and will affect you. So
For
you have to
sure.
be considerate of how your actions are affecting other people if they're in your life and you care about them.
And that's really heavy on like the communication aspect of things. Like, for example, this morning, something so simple. I told Sarah like I was hungry, like, and like I'm not saying that like is a big deal, but I'm very good at like adjusting to things that I need to do. Like, I feel like I was very naturally trained ever since I was younger that like no matter what's going on, you have to like kind of like appear a certain way. And I know that can get kind of toxic, but I have learned to do it. But like, because like I know how to kind of get me out of that headspace, like I don't really stay down for a while. I used to, even like I would say like a year ago, like I was a little different with that. But like, for example, me being hungry this morning because I didn't wake up enough in time to eat breakfast, like that could have sent me into a bad mood. And say I
True.
didn't tell you that, and say I was in a bad mood, like you would have been like, "What's wrong with you?" And if I
Right.
was like, "Nothing," and like brushing off a cold shoulder, like how is that gonna set the tone for
Yeah,
the rest of the morning?
see?
How is that going to make you feel? It's gonna make you feel in the dark. It's gonna create a weird vibe. Like little things like that, like improve
Yeah.
your relationship with people so much,
Yeah,
guys.
I was honestly like surprised. I didn't know what you were getting into when you started talking, but that makes a lot of sense because, like I said, me being so sensitive, overthinker, overanalyzer, I would be like, she probably doesn't want to be here with me right now.
Yes.
She probably doesn't like me anymore. And like, see, like that is also like a personal issue. I'm not saying that that would be her fault, but you not communicating is your fault. And like me misunderstanding it is mine. But if you would have communicated better, I would have understood better. And then sometimes people are like, oh, I communicated to the best of my abilities. Well, your abilities suck.
Yes,
Sorry, but like,
my bad. But it's like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's like in certain situations, it's like all of this would have been handled if you would have just said X, Y, and Z to me. Because people, I feel like, are scared to be vulnerable in relationships, in romantic ones and in friendships. And it's like you being vulnerable can allow us to not only connect better, but it can allow us to stop having certain issues.
yes, and also to stop wasting your time. Like, I honestly would have saved a lot of my time if I was just completely honest with everyone from the beginning. And I know that was impossible for me to do because now I know exactly what I want. And well, sometimes I still like find out, like every day I wake up and I'm like, oh, this is that, or like that is this.
Yeah.
So like I'm still learning every day, but I feel like that's why it's so important to discover who you are as a person and who you are in a relationship and a friendship, because if you don't know what you're expecting, how are you supposed to ask what you want from someone, or how are you supposed to like set that standard or that boundary, you know? And like beforehand, if I would have just told the person I was like in a friendship with or a relationship with, hey, like I'm not okay with this, I'm not okay with that, I like this, I don't like that, I would have saved us both the time, because
That's so
it's like,
true.
okay, you clearly can't do that for me. And sometimes honestly you have to just see things for who they are. If you've tried with someone multiple times, whether that is a friend, a boyfriend, or a girlfriend, and they're not meeting up to your expectations, leave. Stop keep trying and waiting for that person to change. It's like, honestly, like there is so many other people who would love to have you as a friend if you know who you are and you know what type of friends you want to have, but you keep on dragging these leeches on your back. Sorry, like,
No, but
I,
that's so
it's
true.
like, it's like you keep on dragging them because you're scared of being alone, but like you could be honestly walking with a
way
much
better
better tribe
situation.
if you would just let go and believe that better is coming and that you are okay by yourself too. Like being alone, like I was alone for a while, like out of a relationship, and yeah, I had friends, but I would definitely not rely on anyone. It was just me and God. And that taught me a lot about myself. You know, it's like now I know what I can give to people, what I can expect from people, and what I'm expecting in general. And if I'm not getting that, I know I have to move on, or that something needs to be talked about, you know?
Understandable. And I feel like that goes along with like disalignment. It is okay, guys, to grow out of friendships. And I feel like it needs to be normalized because I've changed so much over like just a period of time. Like I've changed more like just in a month. Like things that I was doing like last month, I'm not doing this month.
Yeah,
And that's
honestly.
just the reality of being a person. And it's like it is okay to be growing out of things that you're not used to be doing, or maybe like a certain type of friends that you would say you don't want to go to the club anymore, like certain friends that you used to club with or things like that. Like maybe you're not as close with them anymore. Again, doesn't make them bad people, but you're just not aligned with that.
Yeah.
Like it's okay to walk away from things that you don't feel like a sense of purpose
Yeah.
in. And I know that sounds harsh, but it's the reality. Like, why are you still in a situation where you feel like it's mentally draining you, is making you uncomfortable, and you don't feel like your best self in? Like, you can't be in that place and
Yeah.
expect better for yourself. If you want to be better, you have to be honest with yourself. Are these people that I'm around, is this person that I'm hanging out with going to take me to the next level that I need? And I'm not saying relationships or friendships are always there to benefit you, to take you somewhere, but they should benefit you to make you feel loved, make you feel cared about and respected.
Supported.
Yeah, and supported. If the friends that you were hanging out with and clubbing with are only texting you to go out, if they're only texting you to get a drink and to just like for nothing, like why are you still maintaining that relationship?
Yeah. And honestly, like I was gonna say, if you do care about someone and all they do is invite you to the club and you don't want to go, invite them to something else.
That you want to do.
Yeah,
And
like
a
that's up to you.
communication thing.
Exactly.
Like you could be like, if you like the person, because when I was talking about was an instance of like they're dragging you down.
Yeah, I get
but
that.
if there's a sense where you feel like, okay, this is a good person,
Mm-hmm.
like these are good people, maybe be like, hey, I don't really want to do that stuff
Yeah.
anymore. Do you mind? Like, would you want to go on a walk with me? Would you mind catching up over breakfast
Getting lunch,
or
so-
lunch?
the
Something
beach, something
else.
like healthy too.
Yes.
And honestly, I feel like also a lot of people are usually accustomed to just like doing what everyone else is doing. And it's like, let's say I was in a friend group right now who everyone else loved going out and I didn't. So I'm like, okay, well, these are my friends and I love them. And even though I don't love going out, I'm still going to go because I want to hang out with them. And they're not going to leave me, like, they would leave me behind and they would go anyway. Like, maybe you should talk to these people. Like, just because you're the only one who thinks like that, it doesn't mean that they would hate on you. And if they would, honestly,
Oh,
goodbye.
wow, bye.
Like, that's how you know that these are not your type of people. But if you stay quiet and you just keep going and keep drinking and keep letting it make it seem like it's completely fine, like how would you know what they even think anyway? Maybe they think exactly like you, but they're scared of talking because no one has brought it up.
Exactly, that's so true. Like you not communicating how you feel, it's gonna make people think that you're okay with certain behaviors. I'm sorry, like say like you're in a relationship with somebody and you don't like how they don't do a certain thing. If they keep doing it and you haven't voiced your opinion, hey, I don't like this. How are they gonna know?
Yeah.
You can't get mad at them.
Yeah.
Because you didn't say anything.
And honestly, if you let it go for a while, it's like, how have you not been okay with this for this amount of time and you're just now bringing it
Yeah,
up?
you're gonna look like kind of crazy to that person. Like you should have been brought this up then. Like
Yeah.
you have to remind yourself that bringing honesty to the light initially is gonna save you a lot of pain and it's gonna save you a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And I think that comes with prioritizing yourself first and finding out who you are and making sure you are taking the time for you and your entire like life and nutrition and health and faith, religion, academic goals, whatever, because if you are not putting the right time and energy into your own self, how can you do that for other people? Like, make sure your own cup is full before you're trying to do anything for other people. Don't try to people please just so you can keep friends in your life. Don't try to just make sure other people are happy when you didn't even eat today. Like, make sure you're okay first. Otherwise, you're gonna be miserable. And now these people that you thought were your friends, don't even want to be with you because the person they met is now miserable and not the person they met, you know?
That makes so much sense. Like, yes, we're talking about how to maintain healthy relationships. We're talking about consistency and showing up for your friends, but you also need to show up for yourself. Like Sarah said, what do you need to accomplish outside of your friendships, outside of that relationship with your boyfriend or relationship with your girlfriend? What homework do you need to do? What actual work do you need to do? Do you need to respond to a couple of emails? Do you need to go to the gym? Do you need to take a shower? Because say, I don't know, like say you texted me to hang out today and I still had to do my laundry, do a couple of assignments, and make dinner. I would feel like me hanging out with you was like, say I didn't prioritize myself and I just hung out with you and I had all of that behind me. I'm gonna feel anxiety when I'm hanging out with you. Seriously.
And honestly,
because-
that sometimes brings resentment towards the other person. But it's like
Yes.
you are the one who chose to come here
Yes.
and not do your stuff.
Exactly. Like, make sure your goals, make sure your priorities are done first before you hang out with that person, because then you can put all your time into that person. You can put all your energy into them. If I'm hanging out with someone and I'm mad because I didn't get done with XYZ, I'm going to automatically in the hangout be like, oh, how are you doing? I'm okay. Like, I'm going to be short because
Yeah.
in the back of my head, there is going to be a sense of resentment. So that's why it's up to you to make sure you're prioritizing the right things first.
And that's why a lot of times I say no, I can't go, or I don't want to go. Like if it's to the club and I don't want to go, I'm not going. If it's to the bar and I don't want to go, I'm not going, because now if I go and I'm sitting there like looking like this, then I'm the problem.
Yeah.
And like then I want to go home early and I'm lame, but like I didn't want to come. So I think that honesty will also take you really far in making sure that you're letting these people know, hey, like I actually have a lot to do today, but maybe we can hang out this day, or maybe after I'm done, you know, like just setting the right time for the right things and keeping it 100% honest with the people you actually care about. Because sometimes someone's asking you to hang out and you don't even care about them. You don't even care about responding. And like, I'm not saying you should mistreat other people, but also don't lie. If you don't care about someone, don't respond to this person like you are their friend if you don't want to mislead them. Do you know what I'm trying to say about that?
I understand.
It's like, I feel like as someone who like actually cares a lot about other people, like I'm usually so quick to be super nice and like try to accommodate to someone, but like sometimes you don't have to. Like you need to accommodate to yourself and your own people who actually do prioritize you.
Exactly. And I think that we need to talk about too, like, what do you think about, well, I know you've been in a relationship before, and that kind of made me think of like prioritizing friends outside of a relationship.
Oh, okay.
Because that's the type of priority that I feel like we need to talk about, because how are we supposed to act? How are we supposed to act if I'm in a relationship? Say I'm new. Say I've never been in a relationship before, because there might be some people watching that haven't or are about to get into a relationship or are worried about maintaining friendships that have been good to them, maintaining relationships with people that have been with them prior to their relationship with their boyfriend or girlfriend. How do you do that?
Well, first of all, I'd say that you have to really see what's of value in your life. What's of value in your life and prioritize those things, you know, like really making a list of what is important to you. Like when I tell you, I have a list of what's important to me, and you know, God's first, and then I have like my
Amen.
mental health, physical health, because if you don't have that, you can't get anywhere. And then I have school and work. Like I have school before work, because if I don't go to school, then I probably won't go to work. And like, do you know what I mean? Like it's like I have a list of priorities, and then there's like relationships, and then it's like, you know, like for me it's really having like your priorities set out and everything that's really important to you and what's of value, and then like it's naturally going to happen. Like I wake up, God first, and then it's like, okay, like now you need to go for a walk or you need to eat breakfast. It's like that's how my brain is set out, you know. And then when it comes to relationships, I know who and what to prioritize, because this is what I value. So like since I value our friendship, I will be prioritizing that. And since I value like this other friendship, I'll prioritize that, and like my relationship or whatever. But it's like if you don't see the value in something, it's gonna be harder for you to prioritize it. Or if, do you know what I mean? And it's
That's
like
good.
you have to also realize like the aftermath of things. Like if I wasn't prioritizing our relationship as a friend, then it's like, where is that going to take us, you know? So yeah, even if you get a boyfriend today and you've never had a boyfriend before, do you want to lose every other thing of value just because you have a boyfriend? Or do you want to keep everything else in your life that's of value? Like, and I don't know, it's really about time management and prioritizing your values. And it shouldn't be hard if you actually care about it. But
I agree with that.
did you have anything else you wanted to touch on?
I just would say just make sure you're taking care of yourself, guys, outside of these friendships or outside of like that romantic relationship. And I think that taking care of yourself, knowing your values, and just being honest and upfront are like three takeaways
Yeah.
that I think that is going to help you in those relationships, and it's going to help you with that relationship with yourself too. Knowing your identity and knowing what you want out of anything in life, especially relationships, which are so emotional and so just mental, that's going to help you a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Just be honest about what you want and don't waste your time, because at the end of the day, time is passing by. So only keep the people around you that you can actually see value in. And I'm not saying mistreat anyone, but be honest with yourself and the people who you have around you.
Yep.
But yeah. Thank you so much for
Thanks,
watching, guys. Bye.
Bye.
See you in the next one. Okay. Bye.